Welcome to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. Over the past 20 years, I've worked in beauty, luxury, corporate, and service-driven industries. I created the opportunity in these careers and in my own businesses that allowed me to travel the world, experience once-in-a-lifetime events, and build brands while providing my expertise to clients all around the globe. Life is short, and when you're given a second chance, you better believe I'm going to take it, celebrate it, and share it with you. This show is intended to elevate your mind, upgrade your business, enhance your life, and become part of a positive and uplifting community. If you're ready to take your business and life to that next level you deserve to be at, this is the show for you. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today. Tune in every week to hear from myself, other entrepreneurs, professional patients, small business owners, and fellow podcasters who will be featured on the show. I'm here to remind you to work hard, share your story, follow your dreams, and never, ever give up. Thanks for taking the time to subscribe to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. Today's episode starts now. Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new show. I'm so excited to share this conversation I am about to have with you with my friend Ellen. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Good. So Ellen and I met in a podcasting class. Was it a master class, a group? I don't know. And Ellen's one of my favorites that I met from the group. So I'm like, we have to do a podcast swap. So we did. And I will actually link the link to her show. It's on YouTube as well in the show notes. So you guys have to check that out. It's called the Faster, Easier, Better Show podcast. It's so good. I was talking all about my favorite thing, organization. So now Ellen is here to share so much for the I Chose This Life series. Now, I want to ask you first, you are an author, so I want to talk about your book and your speaking and all of that stuff. But first of all, we're recording during the pandemic still. We're not sure. We're actually both in San Diego, so it's weird that we're like not recording in person. And we were just talking for like 20 minutes before I hit record. What is it going to be like this weekend for the 4th of July? So who knows? So when you guys hear this episode, it might be a nice reminder to keep your mask on or be happy that we're in a whole new world. So who knows? But just wanted to put that out there. So Ellen, I'm so glad you're here. What was the reason? I want to dive right into your book. It's called Done, How to Work When No One Is Watching. And we were talking a little bit about it before. And I love interviewing authors because that's something I'm into, really diving into next in my personal brand in my life. So what was the reasoning behind you writing that book?
Well, first of all, super happy to be here. Second, the reasoning behind the book was, I have lots of information about helping people work when no one's watching, when, freelancers, work from home people, and now everyone working from home. And it was just sort of serendipitous that the book came out at the beginning of 2020, and then, 3 months later, everything went sideways. But I have been sharing with my clients, my readers, information, every week. Here's something you can be doing that'll help you with this, that'll help you with this. And I had so many people ask me, could you just put it all together? Can you just, so I have a book, I have one place and I can go there when I'm having trouble with this. And, because everyone's productivity thing, it's not a continuum. It's like, ooh, this week I'm having problems with motivation, and this week I'm having problems with focus. So if I had a book that I could just go, oh, it's the focus issue, let me just go to chapter 6 and boom, there's focus and I can get to it. And so many people have been asking me about that. I just put it all together and made it easy for people that wanted to know how to get things done, that they'd have a handbook to do it.
I love that. And I love that it's organized just like that, because some people need to know it all at once and some, one thing at a time, but yet the information is still there for them. I love that idea.
Thank you. Yeah, it really works out well because so much of the stuff does overlap. You can't know about A unless you know about B, but once you know that, you can do C, D, and E.
Now, how long was that process for you to actually create the book?
It was, I mean, start to finish, about 2 years. And it wasn't like my full-time job. But when it got towards the end, yes, I was doing a lot of editing and all of that. I did the interiors for the book. And there's a very good reason for that. And that is that I was a graphic designer for 20-something years. And one of the main things I did was actually format books and do book covers for clients. So I was at that point where I knew what I wanted the interior to look like, and it was easier for me to do it than to hire someone.
That's amazing. I love that. And that's how I am with certain things that I've done before. For example, I was a pro makeup artist for 16 years. And so when it comes time to certain things, I'm like, no, I have to do my own makeup. I don't want anybody touching my face. I have to do it myself.
Totally makes sense. I mean, there's all sorts of handouts in the book. There's like charts and things that you can do. And of course I did all my own. And, you know, if you have the book, you don't even have to have the book. You can download the forms from my website, from my book website. And of course I did all the forms myself because I know how to do them. So I totally understand the makeup thing.
But also, don't you feel like, say you did hire someone, you would be I'm a perfectionist. So I feel like just because you're already so experienced in the design aspect, you would have such a hard time getting things approved from someone else. Like, you would have a hard time moving forward because it wasn't your actual work. Somebody else was doing it for you. Do you feel that way or no? That's how I would be.
I felt that way with the cover.
Yeah.
Because I did hire someone, and I was like,
it's hard. It's so hard to give up the reins, especially when you're creating and writing. Oh my God.
And I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, move it an inch. No, a quarter inch. No, up. Yeah. I just didn't want to be that person.
I was that person a couple months ago. I had hired somebody to do a lot of graphics for me, and that is not my forte. I can draw, but I can't do it digitally. And so I had hired somebody, and oh my God, I must have had, first of all, my friends couldn't believe that I did, period, because they're like, are you kidding? You're letting them do that for you? And then I said, yes, I'm releasing everything to the universe, and it's going to be great. And then my perfectionist comes in, and I'm like, I love it, but can you just make this letter a little bit smaller? Can you move this to the right? And I'm like, this woman is probably about to kill me. But at the end of the day, it was amazing, and I've sent her a bunch of clients, and it all worked out. But it's like our business and our books, like they're our baby. So when we give up like reign of some things, it's really hard. Really hard.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about speaking. How did you get into that?
I've always been in public speaking, enjoyed it, and so doing the speaking I do now, it just is a natural outcome of the work. You know, I train clients, I train businesses, so going out to conferences and coming into businesses just to talk, it just all kind of flowed with it because I do talk about, you know, one of my main topics is how to work when no one's watching. And it's not just, as I mentioned earlier, you know, like freelancers and work from home. It is people that need to take control of what they're doing at work. You know, you don't have your boss back in the days when you're actually in an office, you know, looking over your shoulder saying, hey, get this done. So in essence, all of us work when no one's watching at some point in time. So, you know, the speaking just came from the training and everything that, you know, I write about.
That's so amazing. And I think that I was, in my previous life when I was a pro makeup artist, I worked on many, many cruise ships, and I gave seminars to thousands with my headset on and everything. And the first few were a nightmare because thank God I had an assistant, because I would talk to the model. I'm doing her makeup, but I forgot thousands of people are on all these decks are waiting for my next word to come out of my mouth. And then I got into it, and then I felt comfortable. But then, a decade later, I'm doing Facebook Lives, and it's totally different. I would get nervous. I mean, now I don't. I just go on, now I'm so used to it. But isn't that funny how in person and then doing live video, you feel different, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely different. And yeah, I'm not, I know I'm supposed to do more Facebook Lives. And for a while I was really good about it. But yeah, there is that, oh my God, yeah, I'm live and I'm doing this. And yet I do this all the time to get in front of people and speak. But I'm afraid to do it on something like Facebook. And then it always cracks me up because then 3 people show up.
I know. I know.
One of them just like got there by accident,
Yeah.
Who the hell are you?
I know, it's the craziest thing. And then something else I just remembered. So, have you ever been on a cruise ship?
I have.
Okay, so on your TV, you always have commercials from different areas of the ships that are on your TV, like over and over again, other than like the 2 shows that they play throughout your whole stay. So I was a pro artist for Lancome, and I had to do commercials, and they would air each trip throughout the week, however long it was 3, 5, or 7 day cruises. So I had to film this commercial, and it was me speaking. It wasn't me doing a makeup training. It wasn't anything. It was like, who am I? Come see me. Come to the shops. Blah, blah, blah. I was so nervous filming this damn commercial. I had scripts written in Sharpies hanging from the camera crew's lens. I could not get these words out.
Isn't that funny? I mean, it's just supposed to be, boom, here it is.
I know.
You're
so
talking from the heart.
Yeah.
And this is always weird because it doesn't really go with my business, but I did a TED Talk, and then that's completely different because you're not just speaking from the heart. You have memorized every single word.
I was going to ask you that because they're very specific with what you wear, where you stand, and what you say.
Yeah. Right?
There's a lot of rules.
I mean, the only rule really is you're not supposed to come out of the red circle.
Yeah, the red circle.
You're supposed to tell a story. You're supposed to help to change people. We had coaches, and the coaches helped us what we were going to wear and things like that. But it wasn't too many rules because there was a part where we were going through doing writing out my speech, and I had written it and everything. And there was one part I wanted to add in, and it talked about condom machines. And so I'm asking the guy that's in charge of the whole thing, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to talk about condom machines in bathrooms in bars. Is that okay? And he's like, well, yeah.
Oh, my God.
But I'm fine with that.
Now, how long is that process? Because I have a client, and he was on Shark Tank and The Profit on CNBC, and the process and the time it takes to get on the show and then after leave with the legal documents and all of that is so long. And I was never aware of how long that process actually was, like the amount of time. It literally was like a 2-year ordeal. What's the process with TEDx, with the TED Talks?
Well, the timing varies on who's producing it. TEDx Talks are, you buy a license to do the TEDx.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in San Diego, there's probably 10 different versions of TEDx, like in a given year. There's like TEDx San Diego. That's the big one. That like Copley Central, it's Copley Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 1,800 people show up. But then there's also like TEDx High School. I helped them with one that was just at a high school, and they had bought the license to do it. And so everybody has their own sort of process, but usually you apply to speak, and then the application includes, who you are, what you want to, what your story is. Sometimes include a video of you speaking, and they'll narrow that down, and then they'll have actual auditions, and then they'll narrow. I got asked to come speak, so I didn't go through all that. So I can't speak completely to the time frame.
That's crazy. I didn't know anything about. This is why I love podcasting. This is why I love having guests on, because I learn something new every single show. I didn't realize how many licenses and that process there. That's so interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, the big TED, which is, and I can't even think where that takes place, but that's like a 3-day event, and it's like $10,000 to go to. But the TEDx is, yes, you can buy a license, and part of the rules are that the first year you do the event, you can have no more than 100 people in the audience. And I don't know why that is. Wow. But then, like, the ensuing years, you can have more, which is why TEDx San Diego, that's the one that's been around here in San Diego longer. They can sell 1,800 seats.
That's amazing. Now, what about now? Do you think they're pivoting towards a more, or have they? Because I haven't seen more of a online digital format since everybody's online right now.
They are probably going to go online because, and I haven't looked at it, I think they were scheduled for September 20th, 21st, something like that. And I would imagine at this point they've either called it or they're going to go virtually, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But, you look at, I have access to a lot of the TEDx things that are going on, coming up in the world, like, oh, here's this one, this is the due date for your application, this thing. And a lot of them are just going forward, and I think they are just planning, like you said, to pivot as needed.
Yeah. And I think even with like music festivals and just everything, like a couple months ago, everybody thought we'd be in the clear by fall. But now, it's almost 4th of July, and we were just talking before, like, we're good this weekend. We're going to lay low. I'm honestly surprised they haven't closed the beach. I'm surprised, because that's the scary place.
Right. They've closed the parking for the state beaches.
Yeah. It's, my birthday was June 10th, and I went to the beach, and when I left, there were thousands of people I walked through to just get out. And I was like, if I'm sick in 2 weeks, I know where it came from.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just too much. It was too many people. Like, just, there was no social distancing, like, whatsoever. And it was just kind of crazy. But I think, let me think, it was September, October. I was interested in going to some conferences, and now those are digital. So I think we're looking at, like, till the end of the year, like, to be safe. Nobody wants to go anywhere.
No. And I'm reaching out to conferences and stuff that I probably wouldn't reach out to normally because, hey, this one's in New York. Well, I'm not going to fly.
Yeah.
Normally, if you're coming into a conference and I don't want to spend the time and the money to go there, but hey, it's virtual. Let's talk.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's something that is good that has come out of this pandemic is it's given a lot of young business owners more opportunities, and not necessarily like young in age, but younger entrepreneur, like they've only been in business a couple years, where maybe they didn't even have the confidence to pitch people. But it doesn't matter who you are, how much money you're, a celebrity, what company, what brand. We're all doing the same thing, and that is staying home and using the computer. So why not? And now there's so many opportunities that people are landing and getting because of this pandemic, and people realizing, like, listen, at the end of the day, we're all humans. Let's just figure it out and help each other. Do you feel the same?
Oh, absolutely. The playing field has been leveled in so many areas. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think one, especially that you'll get, because with your background and makeup and stuff, that just, so many celebrities and things like now, you're just seeing them and they're like, I don't care. This is what I look like all the time when I don't have makeup on, and I'm fine with you seeing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Just let's do things.
And it's interesting, too, for people that are in industries, talking about makeup is, so one of my clients just launched her podcast on the 1st, and it's called The Beauty Debut. And she's been in the beauty industry for over 25 years. And she launched with 8 episodes, and half of them have guests that are not working. And they're and she's in Vegas, where I used to live. So she has big spa directors from the Strip, people that are in Seattle owning skincare facilities, people in New York that are now going on tour, meeting estheticians and spa owners for future business, like on tour because they can't open their facility in New York City because of COVID. So everybody has had to figure out how to pivot. People that are, and there's always a way with the internet. There's always a way, because just that, for an example, just because it just happened, because I just had to produce all those shows, and I'm like, oh my God, I miss doing makeup. And I have so many friends that are posting, like, I miss doing makeup, I miss, like, touching faces, I miss doing this. But if you were furloughed, if you're laid off, if you just lost everything and you can't even find unemployment money, that whole drama wasn't working out for you, you have the internet. And you can always make money with the internet. All you need is your phone, a camera, even just with a podcast, you just start. So it's given all these people opportunities. And I've done so many shows on this, especially throughout the pandemic, saying, what is it that you want to do? I have so many friends that were laid off from jobs that they've been at for over a decade. And I remember I asked one of my really, really close friends a couple weeks before she actually got laid off, when we were all like in question, like, is the world really going to shut down? Like, before it actually happened, I said, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to open your cafe? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And she's like, I don't even know, because for years, people are just like, it's like a rat race. They're at these corporate jobs and they're working like dogs, and they have kids and they don't even see them and spend time with them. And now they really did, because now they had to teach them on top at homeschooling. But I'm like, what is it that you want to do? And I think that, again, this has given so many people an opportunity to actually just like sit down and figure it out. And I think that's really great. And it's kind of like when, like, I want to kind of go back into your book. When did you decide you wanted to do that?
I probably knew a full year before I started that I wanted to write the book. And then it was figuring out really what the structure was going to be and what I wanted to say. And then there was some dealing with imposter syndrome. Who am I to write a book? Well, who am I not to?
Exactly.
And
I was gonna say, who are you?
So it was about a year ahead of time, and then there was just the day I sat down and I'm like, okay, here I'm going to outline the chapters, and this is what it's going to be like, and away we're going to go. And so it was very much just a line in the sand. It said, I'm on this side where I haven't decided, and I'm going to cross the line, and I'm going to do it.
And you did it. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it yet, and I'm so excited. I just actually, I had a goal of reading these 2 books, like literally since January, and every month I never read them. And finally, I read both books in 4 days total, because I listened to them on Audible. And that's something I never thought I would do, because being in the podcasting industry, I talked about this on my show yesterday, I'm always listening to, I'm always hearing things. And when I read a book, I like to highlight it. I like to have, no noise. And that's, my downtime, shut my brain off, enjoy what I'm reading, turn the pages on the physical book. And I had these 2 Audible credits, and I'm like, let me try it. Because I didn't want to hear anybody. So, I wanted to read the physical book, but now I'm glad I did the 2 books. I'm all caught up on my reading on those 2 books, because I actually have them here. And then I got so addicted to the Audible. But now this whole month of July, and I'm like, I'm ready to like physically read books, like have them in my hand. So I'm excited. I'm definitely going to read yours. Was it when you launched your book after that you launched your podcast, or how did that come about? When did you decide to do your show?
The podcast, that's interesting. I hadn't even really put the two together. There probably was a little influence there. My podcast partner and I started, 3 years ago in June, doing our podcast. He and I went to art school together 800 years ago.
Where did you go?
We went to a place that's not even here anymore, and it was more of an advertising, graphic design, kind of a VOTech, because, I mean, we'd both done college, so it was post-college when we went. And it was like this year-long program. And so we'd gone to school together. We lost touch with each other, and then we reconnected. And oddly enough, we were both kind of the same thing. And in the course of time where I hadn't known him, he's just churning out books like crazy. So at this point in time, I think he has 26 books. And
wow.
So when we started the podcast, he's like, yeah, I'm working on this book, and then I got this idea for this other one. And so it was just seeing his sort of like, yeah, I'm writing these books. And he had gone through, he had been with a publisher for a lot of his books, and then he had just decided he was not going to go with a publisher anymore and just do it himself. But just seeing the confidence he had of how to do things, and then being there for me to bounce ideas off of, that really helped.
Yeah.
But so I'm guessing, we started the podcast, and now that I look at the timeline, yeah, that was a big influence in pushing me towards doing the book. Our podcast, we talk about productivity and efficiency, and it's very different than your podcast. They're very short. Mm-hmm. The whole idea is we look at one topic and we give you a couple different ways that once that podcast is over, you could go and do those right away. Mm-hmm. So now that you bring it up, I think he had a lot to do with kind of showing me the way indirectly, that it was fine to write a book, and why wouldn't I?
That's so amazing. I love that story. And we're so aligned because I didn't realize you started your show 3 years ago as well. June, same with me, because every year on my birthday, I do something. And that was my podcast. And then I also went to art school for advertising design and photography. I went to RISD because I'm from Rhode Island. So that's where I went.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't graduate, but I did go. I got the travel bug, and that's kind of how my makeup career took off after the travel bug. I was working overseas, but yeah, that's so crazy. Everything's just always aligned. It's amazing.
It is.
And I met you from the one group that we were talking about earlier, and we live in the same city, and we're planning our lunch for the fall.
It is so funny how things just all come together. You just sit back, the universe, puts it all together.
I know, it's so true. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and chit-chatting with me. And what is some advice you could give to some listeners that are looking into, more speaking gigs, or, maybe starting to write a book? What are a couple tips that you want to share with them?
I would say for the book, keep a notebook around you, a blank notebook, and just any thoughts that show up, put them in there. Put them in there. Nothing is off limits. Anything you see that you love, and this is coming from being a graphic designer, anything you love, either take pictures of it, pull it out of a magazine, physically put it in your notebook, because there'll come a time where you have to just make some decisions, and you will want to put things in your book that appeal to you. And so maybe you saw a typeface that worked, or maybe you saw a color combination that you would love for your cover. You might not be putting your cover together for 2 years, and someone else might be putting it together, but you've got that information. So just always be looking for things. And for speaking, one of the best things that I've ever had someone tell me, even though I have a couple different companies that send me a number of speaking gig, that, places that are looking for people each week, I still will go onto Google and I will put in best conferences for XYZ or best shows for XYZ. It could be HR professionals, it could be freelance designers, things like that. And someone's already done the work.
Mm-hmm.
You go and you look at the list and they've always got the links and you just go. So do that, and then pay attention to where people are speaking, people that maybe are in your industry. They're going to put it on their website.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm speaking here. Well, obviously you can't go this year, but next year, or the next time they do this thing, it's on your radar. So all the information's out there. It's just a matter of keeping track of it, hunting it down, and finding it, and making that hunting and finding easy.
That is such great advice. And a friend of mine I had on the show, Nicole, she actually lives here too. And she is a high-end, she does a lot of corporate events, weddings, and she has a wall-to-wall whiteboard.
Mm.
It's full.
Nice.
And then I also saw Susie Baptiste, I think you say her name. She created the poop spray. The Yeah, she created that, and she has this Instagram ad that keeps popping up in my feed. I follow her because she's very woo-woo now. She's kind of gone into like the Mel Robbins personal development field, and she has those large sheets, the white sheets where she's always writing, and she had her ad shows her sitting on like a little couch, and her whole wall is the white sheets. I don't know how she gets all the way up there, but maybe that was just for the ad. But I'm like, I agree with writing it all down because that's what I do. I use my notes and my phone because it usually happens when I'm like running around, or when I'm home in my office, I'll write something down. But I love all of that advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. Where can everybody find you online?
Well, online, my website is ellengoodwin.com, and I'm on Facebook with ellengoodwin.com with my business page. I'm Ellen E. Goodwin on Twitter. You can check out my book at un-the-book.com. And always happy to help anyone reach out on my email, ellen@ellengoodwin.com.
Perfect. And you guys, I will put all of those links in the show notes to make it super accessible for you. Just click those links, visit Ellen, and say hi. Ellen, thank you again so much for your time.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
And you guys, don't forget to go check out her show. That link will be in the notes as well. And I will see you guys soon. Your time is so valuable, and I really appreciate you carving out a little piece of your day to listen to today's episode. If you liked this one, please share it with someone who you feel needs to hear this message. And don't forget to tag me at The Happy Workaholic on Facebook and Instagram so I can feature you on my stories. Listening on Apple Podcasts? I would love it if you would leave me a review on today's show. Your input means so much and also helps me create more of the content you'll love. Want to continue today's conversation? You can join us in the Happy Workaholic Network Facebook group. Simply answer the questions and you're in. For more information on myself and to get the latest in business, LinkedIn, organizing, and podcasting news, sign up to receive my weekly newsletter at thehappyworkaholic.com. I hope that your day continues to be happy, healthy, positive, and productive, and I'll talk to you again soon.